everyone. It's Thursday. It is day 30. 30 days out of the 40-day Cultivating Real Life Homestead Challenge, all done. And Katie and I are gonna work on a few things here this afternoon. Are you ready? All right, let's go. So the first thing, I guess, well, let me just say first of all, we heard from several of you. Thank you for your well wishes. Melinda's doing great. We haven't heard back about the car yet. We have taken that to work on getting it repaired. I imagine it's going to be a little while because it was in rough shape in the front and the back. But thank you very much for your well wishes and your prayers. So we're trying to get back on track today and taking care of a few different errands. First is a really cool deal that I got today that relates to the garden. The second is, I mentioned this yesterday, we've talked to Mr. Jeff, whom we got the tomato plants from, and he gave us some helpful advice about what we need to do with the tomato plants in the garden, maybe to get them a little bit more healthy. So let's get started. If you've seen several of our videos recently, you know that we have been working hard on trying to get water set up in our garden. Melinda did a lot of research. We were able to review several different soaker hoses. I'll link to those up above in case if you're interested in going back and watching that. But what it's done is it's really put us on the lookout for soaker hoses because we're thinking about doing an expansion to the garden at some point in the future, and we know we're gonna need more soaker hoses. Well, it just so happened today, I swung by the Habitat Reuse store and guess what I found? Soaker hoses. Now, these are not the same kind that we reviewed actually last week when we took a look at them. But they are soaker hoses. I don't really know what kind of condition they're in, but they were really, really cheap. I got these soaker hoses for $4 a piece, so $8, and I got two 25-foot long sections. So we're gonna take this up here. We just wanna kind of roll it out, just visually inspect it, make sure it's good. Might even try to hook it up to the water cube just to test that out and make sure that it's good to go. So let's take them on. All right, Katie, you wanna get one of the soaker hoses?
I'll get this.
Here, I'll pull them out.
I'll pull them out.
All right.
It's pretty hard to carry.
I think you got it. You wanna give it a try? You gonna give it a try?
It's strong here.
Well, this dad may need to pick it up for this little girl. All right, let me have it. Katie says she's gonna walk with nothing in her hands, and Daddy will get everything in his hands. It's good to be the daddy. It's so exciting to walk up and to see things coming up out of the ground. These plants are looking very healthy. At least on this side they are. But we're gonna check on those tomato plants in just a little bit. Okay, we've got the two hoses separated. I'm gonna take these and roll them out. We're gonna try to connect them to the water cube, just see if water will flow. The biggest problem that we might have is that there may be sediment inside the hoses, and if there is, we're gonna have to see if we can flush them out so they'll be useful. What is it?
Very big.
What is big?
The plant.
Do you know what kind of plant that is?
Can you tell me?
It's a strawberry plant.
Yeah.
Do you like strawberries?
Uh-huh.
Katie is working hard. She's getting that hose pulled all the way up here so that we can connect it. Keep going. Good job. Well, great news. This $4 hose works all the way to the end. It's doing a good job of letting go of the water, weeping it out. So I think this one is a winner, but let's see what happens with the second one. Well, so far so good. The water's definitely weeping out of the hose, though I'm looking down here and I'm seeing that maybe the end cap is not all the way on, so we need to check that to make sure that it's got the right amount of pressure. Well, this is what happens when you get a $4 find at the Habitat Reuse store. This is not the actual cap that goes to the end of one of these. This is just a soda bottle cap. So no wonder it's not actually holding it in. Now, the good news is the water's reaching all the way to the end, so I like that, but we're either gonna have to get a correct cap for the end of this, or we're gonna connect these two together. So I might just try to connect them together really quickly now and see if they work. All right, let's go ahead and turn it on. The good news is that connecting the two together looks like it works and works really well. So we got a lot of soaker hoses. As a matter of fact, I may have misstated. I don't think these are 25-foot soaker hoses. They may be 50. I'm gonna walk them off real quick just to double check and make sure. Well, I was right. They are two 50-foot soaker hoses. They were all coiled up when I got them at the store, so I just didn't really know. And I just guessed that they were 25, but now we have two 50-foot hoses, which would be awesome. And I've connected them together, and they are actually doing a good job of distributing the water all the way throughout. So shifting gears, now we actually want to go into the garden because we want to talk a little bit about what's going on with the tomato plants. We have made no secret whatsoever that we've never really actually grown things in a garden before. As a matter of fact, that's the whole reason why we're doing the 40-day Cultivating Real Life Homestead Challenge, to see if we can actually grow things in a garden. But in general, we're doing pretty well, but we got one area that's not doing so well, and that's the tomato plants. The problem that we're running into is that these tomato plants look kind of sickly, and that's not good. They shouldn't look like this. They should look a lot better. Well, we contacted our friend, Mr. Jeff. Actually, we left him a message in our video, and he contacted us, and he said there's two things that we should probably look at doing. And to be fair, he gave the credit to his wife, Miss Gina. So what they said that we should do is, one, make sure that the mulch is pulled away from the base of the tomato plants. He said it's great for weed block, but it might be suffocating the plants. So we want to be real careful not to do that. The second thing that we want to do is we want to add some peat moss to the base of the plants. That'll feed it a little bit of extra nutrients, some things that it will need to grow. So we're going to give that a try. We're at least going to start by pulling the mulch away from the plants. Well, it just so happens that we have a little bit of potting soil that has peat moss in it, so we're going to put some of that down just to get things started today. I went ahead and got the soaker hose, not one of the ones I just got, but one of the ones we already had, and I've set it up here in the tomato area. And what I'm trying to do is to go ahead and let's just see if we can get a lot of water on those. It's been a few days since it rained, which seems kind of weird because it feels like it's rained a lot. But let's go ahead and get some water on there, just let it deep soak, and maybe see if we can start nursing these tomato plants back to health.
Melinda here on the Modern Homesteader, Cultivating Real Life. I just talked with John, and I did not realize that I left the tomato plants in the cups. So no wonder they're not growing. I know that. I do not know if I was distracted when I planted them or what. John just said, oh, I pulled back the mulch and they're really not growing through those cups. I said, oh my goodness, we planted them in those cups, which sometimes you can do, but with tomato plants, you really can't. You have to be very ginger with tomato plants. So that is totally my mistake. I apologize, especially to Mr. Jeff and Miss Gina. I will be coming out here after we eat dinner here in a minute and pulling up the cups, getting the roots, and then I think they will probably do great. I did not realize that's where they were. So that is totally and 100% my fault. So here we go, cultivating real life, learning lessons, and John was doing a great job. I just didn't realize they were still in the cups. Okay, one other thing, I was just gonna show you the cups and I was pulling them back. There are already fire ants invading here. We have an organic solution. We don't want to put DE earth in our garden because it kills a whole lot of the insects. It rubs their exoskeleton, and we don't want to mess up the beneficial insects. I didn't realize that the fire ants were here with the tomato plants. That's bad news. They will be sucking those tomato plants' roots in order to get moisture anytime they need moisture. So we have an organic solution on the way. We'll be talking about it. Should be here, I think, next week, like early next week, Monday or Tuesday, and I'll be spraying that immediately on the tomato tomato plants. It's totally OMRI certified, organic, fine for vegetables, fine for kids, pets, everything else. So that might be another issue with the tomato plants. I didn't realize that were fire ants in our tomato plants. So lots of issues going on with our tomato plants. Hopefully by this time next week, they will be on the path to healthy.
Well, that does it for day 30 of the 40-day Cultivating Real Life Homestead Challenge. I'm really glad that we got the tomato thing sort of, kind of, maybe figured out. But on a side note, communication is important in every relationship and in every marriage, but especially when you're trying to grow a garden. I didn't know, and Melinda didn't know what either of us was doing. I didn't know that she had left the cups on there, and when I saw them today, I thought, well, maybe we're just supposed to still have those on there, and she didn't realize either. So there you have it. We learned a lesson. Hopefully you did too, and that's day 30. We'll see you tomorrow, day 31. We're getting close to the end of this 40-day challenge, so hopefully we're going to see some good results here over the next 10 days. We'll see you tomorrow.